Hi, I'm Diana Estrada with Silicon Valley Latino. Here we are at the Women of Alpha event here in San Francisco, and here I am with the lovely Ophelia Basgal. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good to see you this morning.
Yes, thank you. It's great to meet you. And would you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and a little bit of your background?
Sure. I'm originally from Arizona. I grew up in Arizona, but I've been in California almost 30 years now. I went to my undergrad program at Arizona State University and ended up in California because I came to do my master's work here at Berkeley. I'm currently the regional administrator for the Department of Housing and Urban Development based here in San Francisco. Some of the things that I've learned is not to be shy about talking about your accomplishments with people. I think as Latinas and Latinos, we tend to feel like that's not the right thing, is to talk about yourself, but that's important for your development and professional careers. And I also think that you won't make it if you don't have mentors and you don't have people who are promoting you. So you need to really be developing relationships with people who recognize your strengths and who also tell you about your weaknesses, but who are actively engaged in promoting your career.
Yes, it's very important to talk about yourself and to learn how to, I call it learn how to brag about yourself and that it is okay. What kind of skills did you need to go into the field that you're in?
I had some technical kinds of skills. I learned analytical work. I could do analytical work. I'm a good writer. I knew how to read and basically synthesize materials to bring them together for recommendations and those sort of things. But I think the leadership is what really sort of stood out and what sort of propelled me into the positions that I've had. And, it started from the time I probably was the president of my Girl Scout troop, So I'm a person who likes to lead, and I think I'm pretty good at it in that people seem to like to be led by me, and that's a key thing in being a leader, is people have to want to come along with you.
And that's a very key skill to learn, is effective leadership. I know there's so much talk on Facebook, especially for Latinas. What would be some maybe a tip or two that you would be able to share about how to stand in your power and still be an effective leader, so that people, sometimes Latinas, they don't, or just women in general, they don't want to overpower, but to stand in your power with grace and still lead from there.
One of the things, it really makes me think about how a lot of women begin conversations by apologizing. First of all, give that up. No more of that. Stop that immediately. You have to be somewhat recognized that, you're not going to always be comfortable. I had a mentor who once said to me, if you're not scaring yourself routinely, you're really probably not striving hard enough.
You mentioned about mentors. Who would you say are maybe 3 of your top mentors that have inspired you, that have, were your believers or your champions as you were growing up?
Well, I would say that my first mentor was my first boss when I was an intern in graduate school, and he stressed the importance of public speaking. He was a fabulous public speaker. He found me irrepressible in the sense that I would just say what I thought, and it used to drive him nuts, but he always said, don't give that up, because that's so important as to who you are. And a major champion of mine, so we're still friends 40-some years later. So he was critical. I would say also some women that were my peers when we started our careers. We spent a lot of time talking to each other over the years and sharing problems and addressing issues and supporting one another. And one woman in particular that stands out for me was a woman who headed up a very large nonprofit housing development company. She is the most no-nonsense, straightforward person you could ever meet, and will tell you exactly, with great honesty, whether she thinks you're going in the wrong direction, when she thinks you need to make a change, and she's a great supporter. So you couldn't ask for anything better. I think those would be examples.
Those are very good examples, and I love to have mentors in my life that sometimes at the moment I just don't want to hear it, but yet I go to them because I need to hear it. I do a lot of work with young women, teenagers, and college students, and then also just newly graduating, starting their career. What kind of advice would you offer these young women?
Get yourself one or two mentors. Don't be afraid to ask people to be a mentor. It's never as big a bother for them as you think it might be. They get a lot from it. It'll make all the difference in the world in how you do in terms of your development, both as an individual and in your career.
Great, thank you. I'm going to ask just one more question. I just thought, would it have been like maybe one, like a stop, like any kind of like, have you ever been stuck or just like stop that, any kind of thought, any of self-doubt? How do you walk through that if you've experienced that?
I think that when you find yourself in that position, and I certainly have, you really have to sort of sit down and reassess, what are my values? Am I in the right place? Does this make sense? Is this not working out because I'm not trying hard enough, or is this just not a good match? And sometimes it's okay to realize it's not a great match.